finally ready. After 45 of patient waiting, it's done. It's running fine. One thing I have to say to people that are planning to replace the engine themselves, and they're not going to do it themselves, meaning in their own garage, it's well, you get what you pay for. And I picked a shop that didn't charge me a lot. They only charged me $650 for the labor, versus dealership which would charge me at least $2,000 just for the labor plus the parts. So I picked the cheaper way to go, and pretty much the end result is going to be the same, except you're going to end up with more smaller things that you have to fix after the job is done, but it's still going to be a lot less money than if you go with a dealership. So the small hiccup that I encountered with replacing the engine after I was done, there was some weird stuff going on with the car. I was ready to give up because I was thinking my car is falling apart. When they put the engine, the new engine in there, they did not notice that the transmission seal is not the transmission seal, I'm sorry, the transmission mount is pretty in bad shape. You could literally see through it, and it made the transmission wobble all over the place, which made the exhaust bump into undercarriage. Pretty much the mount wasn't there, so the transmission was touching the metal. So every time you accelerated, the sound as if the engine itself was touching the floor, you could hear that. You could hear the vibration in the floor, which was eerie, sounding really bad, and I thought the car is just done for. So I was really pissed, but thankfully, hold on, because there's a truck coming. Yeah, thankfully I had to go to dealership anyway to get the hitch inspected, and I figured I'm gonna ask them how much is the inspection of the car, and I paid like $130 to inspect the car in every aspect, and I told them that I replaced the engine and everything. So they told me every single thing that needed work, and the first thing and main thing they told me about was the transmission mount. So, you know, they replaced the engine mounts as they replaced the engine, as they should, but they didn't notice the transmission mount. So the transmission mount really fixed everything. The car is driving like new now. There's no vibration. Even the exhaust wobbling around is fixed. Even the problems that I used to have with viscous coupling seem to be gone, which is weird, because it's not presenting any problems right now. I can turn tight turns on the parking lot, and I'm not, you know, it's not fusing my tires anymore like it used to. So I'm not sure what it has to do with the transmission mount, but everything is done. Second thing that I have a problem with, but it's not the shop's fault, is the fault of the company that made the engine. Nothing bad about them. In the end, they came out to be really supportive. The warranty works. The problem is that the main seal in the back is leaking oil just a little bit. So I called them up and asked them what the hell's going on, and they told me to check that it's the main seal, just in case it's not, just to make sure that it's the main seal. And they will send me the main seal and oil pan gasket, and they will reimburse me for the job that has to be done to fix it. So S&J Engines, thank you for the support. They're really awesome guys. They're really helpful when you talk to them on the phone. They're really pleasant to talk to and everything. They will really take care of you. and make sure your problems, any problems you have with your engines, whatever engine you ordered from them, is taken care of. So big props to S&J Engines. What else? Well, the exhaust. The guy that was welding my exhaust was, I don't know, not very knowledgeable about welding. So I guess I'm gonna have to re-weld the entire exhaust. The main thing that he messed up was the part of the exhaust that goes above the axle. It's supposed to go above the axle pretty much vertically to give the most clearance to the axle when you go over the bumps. But he kind of laid it down. Let me try to show you. It's kind of laying down on the side. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it. See, it's not vertical. It's kind of laying down. See, so differential is pretty much hitting it every time I go over a major bump, like a curb. Because I hit the curb by mistake when I was turning in the street, and I heard something weird. So I think that was the differential hitting the pipe. So I'm gonna have to re-weld the whole thing. And this weld, I'm not even gonna say anything. You can hear the leak because there's a big freaking hole. So when I start the engine, you can hear it whistling. So that's pretty much it when it comes to, you know, my car. I'm thinking if I forgot about something. I think that's it. Let me show you the engine compartment. Okay, so here she is. Another thing that I wanted to say to people that will choose to go with the cheaper shops, remember that these people cannot hire a good good mechanics, because good mechanics will want to get more money for their work. And since the shop charges not much for the job, they can't pay a lot to the mechanic. So keep that in mind, that if you go to a cheaper shop, you're most likely gonna wait a lot longer for the car, and there are gonna be things that you're gonna have to take care of after everything is done. I thankfully don't have a lot of things to take care of after the whole job is done, but there are a lot of things that they didn't care to fix by themselves, and they didn't call me, so I had to go back to them to fix them. So it took a long ass time to get this car done, really. So anyway, what has been done after replacing the whole engine, of course, there is the M1 Mopar intake manifold. I'm not sure if you will be able to see it. One concern that I had is that it's a little bit taller. It's not. It's exactly the same height as the stock one. So if you have the K&N intake, don't worry, it will fit. What else? BBK throttle body. Only problem that I have with it is the spring. It's damn hard. I'm not sure why did I do it this way, but whenever you just want to add gas just a little bit and tiny and just keep going on the parking lot, for example, it's not working. It's just it's too tight. You're pressing the pedal, it's not going, so you keep pressing it harder, then it snaps and goes into, so you end up almost hitting the car next to you. So you have to be really careful. I'm not sure if all BBKs are like that, but hopefully it's gonna work itself out. What else? I replaced the AC compressor with all the filters and everything, because those things were rusty and everything. So I thought the engine is gonna be new and nice. I don't want any rust sitting underneath my hood, so I told him to replace everything. And AC compressor was making weird noise, so I figured, okay, let's replace that. Steering pump, I had problems with power steering. Every time I tried to make a sudden turn, it was pretty much fighting with me. So now it's fine, it's working fine. So the problem that I had with the shop, there was a squeak, and it was coming from the steering pump. It was really loud, a lot louder than the squeak that you get from the serpentine belt when it's worn out. And they did not fix it until I told them to fix it. So yeah, that's what you get when you work with cheaper shops. But in the end, they did a good job in putting the engine in, and everything is working except the seal leaking. So I guess this is everything I had to say, and what advice could I give to people that are planning to do this. Well, I guess that's it. Let me show you how she sounds. Okay, let's hear her now from the inside. She sounds pretty good, if I do say so myself. I mean, I like this, and it sounds like those old-time muscle cars. I actually didn't expect her to sound this good, but I'm happy. So this is it. I mean, yeah, I will do a little walk around with to show you how the headlights look, because I got some questions about that from people on the forums. So here it is. Here are the taillights. I mean, not taillights, headlights. I'm not gonna light it up obviously now, because you're not gonna be able to see shit, because it's just in the morning. So let me tell you this: if you plan to buy these headlights on eBay, you have to put HIDs in those, because if you keep them with the regular H3 bulbs, they are pretty much very shitty. They're not gonna light the road enough for you to be driving and feel comfortable when you drive. So HIDs are a way to go with those. Then they're pretty good. And at that also, remember, these things are made in China, so it all depends what kind of piece you're gonna get. They're gonna have different aim and everything, so you have to be able to adjust them properly. My car has the adjusting mechanisms messed up, so thankfully they're not aiming for the sky, and they're not getting into the eyes of other drivers that are driving from the front. So they're just going a little bit too low, which is not bad, I guess. You know, they're lighting the road enough for me, but you have to go with HIDs with those things. And you can't put, I try to put HIDs as the high beams as well, which are these are high beams, these are low beams. So low beams, you can fit an HID bulb in there. You can't do that on high beams. I was trying to put a second kit as the high beams, It's not working because the hole is not big enough for the bulb to get in there, and there is a cut on the mounting, and the bulb is round. It doesn't have that cut, so you're not going to be able to do that. Alright, as far as the taillights, taillights are pretty good. I'm very happy with them. I am glad that I picked the smoked ones. I had the clear ones before and they didn't look enough, good enough. So I got the smoked ones and they're really damn good. This one is broken because somebody ran into my car when I left it with the shop. They were waiting for something, I don't know for what. My car was just sitting around for 2 weeks around the shop. I didn't even know. They didn't even work on it for 2 weeks. My car was just standing on a parking lot, and that's when somebody hit it. So they had to replace my whole bumper and paint it, which they did a good job, I have to say. It's painted really nice, but I have to replace the taillight. So this is everything that I had to say about this car and about the job that I was doing with it. I'm really happy that it's done. I'm really happy how it came out. And if you have the money to get the engine and put it in this car, it's a blast. Let me tell you, this car is running like a beast now. And it has only 130 miles on it, on the engine. Of course the odometer is just the same. I have 114,000 miles on it right now, but the engine has 130 miles, sorry. I had to replace do the first oil change at 500 mile mark. Right now I'm driving on the synthetic Joe Gibbs brake-in oil, which makes the braking period a lot faster. So I'm not gonna have to wait for like 6,000 miles or something to break it in. The supposed break-in period is only 500 miles. Then you change the oil to synthetic regular 10W30. Also Joe Gibbs, I really recommend going with that oil. It's a lot more expensive than a regular one, but it has a lot more ZDDP and a lot more things that would help keep your engine alive for longer. So I don't know yet. I just picked up the car from the shop, so I will keep you updated as it goes. And thank you for watching. This is my muscle girl, my baby, with the job done, and this was the finale video. So hope you enjoyed watching, and thanks for following the whole process. See ya.